The leadership team needs to be driving this initiative. And unfortunately, there's a lot of gaps that happen typically because they may not have standardized security policies that apply across the board, across the entire enterprise. You know what his first task is going to be? Eliminate employee number one.
Yeah. Welcome to The Growth Switch, the podcast where we explore the strategies, struggles, and breakthroughs of bold business leaders. I'm your host, Jules Fox, growth strategist and lead content creator at Media. I'm here to uncover how today's top brands are scaling, overcoming challenges, and unlocking sustainable success. Now, for those of you just tuning in, Iris Media helps grow successful brands with comprehensive hands-on support for sales, business development, and performance marketing. Go ahead and drop growth in the comments if you want to learn how to do that. Now, today on The Growth Switch, we're joined by Dave Brewer. He's the founder, CEO, and best-selling author and cybersecurity strategist. He spent 35 plus years helping businesses turn IT operations, cybersecurity, and AI-ready infrastructure into true competitive advantages. Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for that great introduction.
Oh, of course. I mean, and well-deserved. So tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get into this? Where did this begin?
Well, I started, in Silicon Valley, just out of college, helping companies support PCs, and that quickly evolved into networking PCs, which evolved into connecting them to the internet. And so I kind of started my career helping companies get networked. And over time, we had some great success growing due to referrals. And over the last 30 years, we've helped hundreds of companies build out infrastructures from the ground up, support them, and upgrade, maintain, all of that above. In the last 10 years, we pivoted into the cybersecurity space, and we have a complete cybersecurity stack to help our clients ensure that they're secure from risks and threats. And in the last 3 years, we've added to that kind of stack AI. What we've been doing is integrating AI into our own internal processes to help improve productivity and efficiency, to effectively improve our customers' outcomes. Now, what we're focused on is helping our clients learn from some of our lessons, how they can apply AI to their business to help them grow revenue and reduce costs.
Mhm. Yeah. So what have you noticed evolving over the past 3+ decades? I don't think that cybercrime used to be a thing, or it was definitely on the table intellectually, but not in the capacity that it is now. So, what should people know right now about AI and cybersecurity?
Well, there are some basics. First of all, if a business owner is starting their journey down the AI path today, they should know that they should be on a paid subscription with a company that is at least claiming to not use your data to train their LLM model. So that would be kind of step number one. Step number two would be identify whom in your company is already leveraging AI, because unless you have an AI strategy, most likely the individual employees are already using it on their phones, which you have no control over as a business. And there's a huge potential for data loss and risk.
Yeah. And yet it almost seems like there's a divergence, is that some people are overly fearful of AI and are hesitant to use it, whereas some people are just, headlong into, we're going to do this no matter what, and just don't seem to care about the consequences. Surely there's like some sort of happy medium. How do you help people who are too fearful to, embrace the potential of AI? And how do you help people who are too callous to embrace the possibility of having some security?
Well, so we developed an AI readiness assessment that we suggest every one of those companies that have an interest should have performed for their business. And that will help identify if there's any gaps in their security infrastructure, and if there are things that need to change in order to improve their security posture. That is something that we offer to our clients. We also sort of suggest that as a starting point, and then the second step is talk about developing an AI strategy, which will turn into an AI roadmap. Most businesses don't actually have a plan. That's kind of the biggest problem today. And there are some recent statistics that claim that 20 within the next 24 months, 90% of all knowledge worker processes are going to be re-engineered using AI.
Wow.
And if companies aren't ready for that, they could be done haphazardly. Or if they're reluctant to do it or resisting that change, they may be left behind. There's also another statistic that 51% of all small businesses here in the United States have no cybersecurity measures in place. It's kind of a
Yeah,
frightening statistic.
it is, because I don't think that they would be able to handle a cyber attack. I don't think they would have the
Right.
funds. They could go under. They could
Yep.
be sued for even beyond that. They could be held legally responsible for losing really important sensitive data for their clients.
Exactly. Yes.
It's probably to the point where people think, oh, well, I'm just a small company, so nobody would want to. It wouldn't be worth their time to mess with me. But on the other hand, if you are a professional threat, if you are involved in cybercrime, you think, well, this is probably going to be an easy target.
Yes. And often threat actors, when they breach a system, they'll be in your system for up to 6 months before they decide to actually execute an attack. So they have lots
Wow.
of time to prepare, to extract your data, and come up with a game plan of how they're going to take you down.
That's not a fun thought.
Yeah.
So, how much would this cost for somebody to have a strategy meeting, meet with you about the potential, like what's possible? When a person has just started in learning more about how they can do this, what's the timeline and what's the cost involved?
So it varies on the company size and the complexity of their business. But we have packages that start as low as $2,500 a month to act as your fractional chief AI officer. It's somewhat of a new term that people may not have heard of before, but having someone to help you put together an AI strategy along with a roadmap is really what we're focused on delivering.
Yeah, yeah, and for anybody listening, for anybody watching, if you've been on LinkedIn, fractionals, the new big thing is if you don't want to shell out six figures, multiple six figures for an absolute top professional, what you can do is essentially hire a part-time top professional who has the deep expertise that you need, but you don't have to have them full time on your staff, just an as needed basis. Yeah. All right. So you often stress the importance of people and culture in security. So what's your top advice for leaders trying to build a security first culture?
Well, it has to come from the top down. And if the business owner or the CEO is not on board, it's going to be difficult to get into play. And so, for leadership, the leadership team needs to be driving this initiative, and they need to have a plan, and they need to embrace it. I have kind of a funny analogy. Analogy is one in which there's a 10-person company and the CEO one day says, "Oh, we're going to embrace AI." So he comes into the office and he tells his team, "I want every one of you to embrace AI because this is the new mission statement for our company." And so, from a scale on 1 to 10, you have the one employee number one that might be completely resistant to it. He says, "Wow, we have no security in place. We have all these risks. We have a business to run. We don't have the time to experiment with all of this." And on the opposite end of the spectrum, the 10 might be some younger person that is like gung ho. "Oh my God, I learned AI in college. I am ready to implement it." He goes hog wild on it. And you know what his first task is going to be? Eliminate employee number one.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're going to see happen over the next 24 months. And the C levels have to have a plan in place how to deal with that. Because the ones that are actually resisting it, maybe even for right reason, because they may know there isn't security in place, are going to be the
Yeah.
ones that are going to be eliminated.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's a huge wake up call. And I think that that's a great way of putting it, is that it would be like resisting a computer. It would be like saying, well, we didn't use computers. Now that you've invented
Pen and
computers,
paper.
you invented these papers and pens, but our company's been doing this for many years without it. So
Yep.
yeah, exactly. It's the latest form of technology that you have to use, or else you simply will not exist as a company.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I noticed you recently spoke about a Marriott breach, and you were highlighting that on LinkedIn, showing
Yeah.
people the dangers of inherited systems after big M&A deals. So, when people are going through an acquisition, no matter what side of it that you're on, what sort of due diligence steps do you think are the most critical that they should be watching out for as they begin to transfer over information between companies?
Well, you clearly have to have some kind of integration plan if you're doing it. And
Mhm.
often, uh, what I've seen is companies acquire others and they leave them running as a wholly owned subsidiary, say you can operate independently. We're not going to integrate you. And unfortunately, there's a lot of gaps that happen typically because they may not have standardized security policies that apply across the board, across the entire enterprise. That's one of the greatest risks if you don't have alignment on security policies, procedures, and practices. That's where these vulnerabilities really pop up.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people only think of the M&A process when they're ready to go through an exit, but really companies should probably be looking at cybersecurity while they are existing before they're up for sale, so that they
Yes.
can be ready for the sale, so that you can, essentially get your company in as top shape as possible, regardless of whether or not you're going to,
You would think, however, what I've seen is that's really not the case. A company that's, being sold might originate from the founder wanting to retire or the business owner
yeah,
wanting to retire. And I've seen, companies that have been around for 30 years and then they're going to sell and they don't have strong security practices in place. So you might be buying a company if you're the purchaser, unless you did all the due diligence during the investigation phase, you're going to be quite surprised that those practices probably aren't in place.
yeah, yeah. So we've talked about how you're able to help companies. You can come in on a fractional basis. You can help them become AI ready. You can help them with cybersecurity, which is fantastic. But let's talk about your own company growth for a moment. What sort of strategies do you have in place to grow your own company, to meet with more of the right people so that you can help them with these processes over the next few years?
Well, we use AI in our sales and marketing process. And
Mhm.
so we use it to automate lead generation. We use it to automate outbound marketing. We have developed AI chatbots that can be used to automate, as an example, our AI readiness assessment. Part of it is an automated chatbot that we use for a self assessment.
Mhm.
That's one example. We use it as what we call a lead magnet to demonstrate the technology to prospects so that they can see the value of how they could apply it in their business practice.
Yeah.
We also have chat bots that are in that can communicate you via voice, which we have set up as not only in our sales department but also for demonstration purposes, so that you can see how you can dial in to an organization. You can answer that the chat or the automated chatbot can respond
Yeah.
to questions, and it can be pre-programmed to provide all the answers that a prospect could ask. And if you just think of the efficiencies you can achieve through that, the reduction in staff requirements for call centers or for sales, you can ensure that whatever question is asked is going to get the actual right answer. So it's really exciting for us. We're using that to grow our revenue, and we're also showing prospects how they can leverage those types of functions and capabilities to grow their own revenue.
Absolutely. I mean, that sounds
It's exciting,
brilliant.
exciting times.
Yeah, I just saw that ChatGPT released a new ultra realistic human voice.
Yes,
Yeah, just today, just yesterday. So I haven't even tinkered around with that yet, but that's pretty cool looking. They just come up,
it's fun. It's a lot of
obviously,
fun.
yeah. When AI first started, I think there were a lot of skeptics, like, "Oh, this is not very good." But I think when anything starts out, it's not very good. If anybody, jumped on a very very old computer with the floppy disk, you'd think to yourself, "This is not very good."
Right.
But it got good real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's like one of the big stumbling blocks? What is the biggest obstacle that you are facing today that if you could just destroy it as far as your company growth, you could get in there and just get the thing out of your way. How would you best? It sounds like you have good systems in place for how you're meeting people, but what's the one thing preventing you from meeting more people and getting more leads on demand?
It's getting time with key individuals in a company. I mean, it's hard
Right.
to get time on the calendar of a business owner. Their time
Yeah.
is limited. They have lots of filters and firewalls to get through to get on their calendar. That's probably the
Yeah.
number one challenge. If we're talking to prospects, we might be talking to someone that's not a decision maker. So how do you get the conversation elevated onto the decision maker's plate to have these
Mhm.
kind of conversations? We have a practice of socializing these messages through our social media channels in hopes to be able to attract prospects through that channel. But
Mhm.
it's getting the message across to the appropriate people that I find being a challenge.
Yeah, like you guys do like a lot of organic content, like earned content, earned media, where yeah, super smart. So how can people best connect with you? Where can they find you? How can they take the next best steps if they know that they need to do something and they know that they want to check in, see that you're the right fit?
Well, if they're interested in learning more about our AI strategy as a service, they can
Mhm.
visit our website at strategy.bcnetworks.com,
Mhm.
or they could send an email to me at dbrewer@bcnetworks.com.
Amazing. And for all the listeners, for all the viewers, those links are going to be right in the notes below, and you can simply click them and do that. Dave, thank you so much for your time. It's been fantastic having you on the podcast.
Thank
Appreciate your
you.
expertise.
Appreciate the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you.